In this video I'm heading back into the rainforest close to my home. I've been into this particular spot many times over the years, but I'm still trying to figure out what is the best way to capture it really. Over the years I've captured it in still photography, video and time lapse, and I'm still kind of not sure which is the best technique to use. Actually, I've just got to this place and it's just started to lightly rain, which I hadn't anticipated, so I'm just going to go back to the car and grab an umbrella, which might be essential for today. I hope that I've brought it with me, but I'm not sure actually. G'day folks, it's the weekend, so I had to get out again, though it wasn't looking very promising this weekend. The weather forecast is not very good. It's a bit of a grey morning. And actually, I was up for the sunrise, but I didn't photograph it. The skies were a little bit clearer and had quite a bit of high cloud. It was would have been really good to be in here sooner actually, but I've chosen to come into this place because I think that the scene in here that I'm trying to shoot suits the light conditions that we've got at the moment. It's sort of the calm between the storm here. Yesterday was really windy, and today we've got sort of a short window of calm weather, and then we've got a big snowstorm coming in. So as usual, just trying to make the most of what precious time there is. Conditions this morning are exactly what you want for this sort of photography in the forest. Soft light, overcast conditions, not sunny, and a little bit of mist coming and going, and there's also a little bit of light rain coming and going. I say not sunny, but some really nice soft sunlight filtered through mist or fog can be really awesome in this sort of setting, but it is really hard to come across. One of the things about time-lapse photography and doing motion-controlled time-lapse is that by the time you get your rig all set up, which takes a lot of time, you can miss the fleeting moments of light or the little opportunities that you're trying to shoot. So, yeah, a fast setup is a good setup. Or good anticipation and just being in place before something's due to happen, just getting set up early is good insurance policy. Just as well I bought that umbrella, I would have had to have bought the time lapse at this stage. I'm using a wide angle lens. It's got quite a convex front element to it, so even though the lens has got a lens hood on it, there's just not much protection really from raindrops actually landing on the convex nature of the front element. So in this case, an umbrella is just absolutely essential. Right, all set up and sending the motors back to the start now to start the time lapse. The ramping device doesn't like it because I'm actually shooting in HDR mode on this Canon R5, shooting 3 shots and then merging them together into a high dynamic range frame. So I'm shooting correct exposure and plus and minus 2 stops exposure. Beautiful light conditions actually at the moment here. It's a nice bit of mist up in the tops of the trees. Probably haven't quite got the exposure right on this camera here to show you, but it's actually perfect conditions, so I guess I don't mind holding an umbrella when it's like this. This is couldn't be better really for this type of shoot. Pretty challenging conditions to shoot in this morning. Just light mist. At least it's not there's no wind. When there's light mists and there's wind, especially blowing back towards the camera, it's just really a write-off. You can't stop moisture getting on the lens, but there's perfect conditions here. Nice calm, light drizzle and fog coming in, so that's awesome. Couldn't have hoped for more really. Just hoping that shooting the way I am, which is experimental. I've never tried this mode before on the camera. Just hoping that that's going to work out okay. The scene is certainly quite a high dynamic scene, a high dynamic range in terms of the exposure range. So I'm trying to maximize the ability of the camera to capture that with this HDR mode in the camera. So the way I understand this mode is that the camera will shoot the 3 frames and then combine them into an HDR image in the camera. I think it's actually shooting the frames in JPEGs, so you can actually do that processing in a suitable time frame. I mean, if you were shooting 3 raw files and processing those together into an HDR image in the camera, I can imagine that would take a long time. But I think there is a mode, and I'm not sure whether I've got it set there at the moment, where it will actually store the raw files as well, which would be quite useful if you wanted to grab those raw files for use for something later on. Shots nearing the end. I think it's gone okay. There's been a couple of times where I think I've missed frames. I think just the processing time has overtaken the interval time that I set on the little ramping device. I'm just using the ramping device as an intervalometer basically. I set the interval for 5 seconds and it's kind of it records the 3 frames really fast because the correct exposure frame is about 1/20th of a second, so 2 stops under and 2 stops over. 2 stops over is going to be around about 1/80th of a second. 2 stops under is going to be around about 1/5 of a second, but it's recording those really fast, like, so that's probably, well, that is under a second. But just the time it takes to process is kind of using up all that interval time, so there's not much buffer there, if any. So I think I've missed a couple of frames, but it's gone okay. So I think it's worked okay. So first time I've tried this mode, bit of an experiment. Had some pretty awesome conditions this morning actually, but the fog's actually cleared off now, but the fog was coming and going and it just looks quite ethereal here when that's happening, and which is exactly the conditions I really like to shoot in the New Zealand bush. So I was really fortunate to just be here at the right time. Really, I wasn't even going to come out today, so good thing I did. So yeah, that's probably done about maybe 500 of the 600 frames I shot, so I'll see how that is and see how much space on my memory card I've got left. I might do another time lapse. Really glad I came out this morning. Conditions here have been pretty awesome actually. It's just I really love being out in the New Zealand bush when you've got soft light and the mist. If you get mist combined with a soft light, usually it's sort of light rain when that's happening as well, which is really hard conditions to shoot in. Got to try and keep the lens dry somehow. Earlier on in the shoot it was actually light rain and I had to have an umbrella, holding an umbrella over the gear, even setting up the gear, so a bit of a challenge really. But it's calmed, well, it stayed calm, and the light rain has stopped and the mist has been coming and going, but it's just kind of lifting off now, so the scene's actually quite bright. So it's a high dynamic range scene, so I'm hoping that this using this HDR mode and the camera is going to make the most of that large exposure range. Actually, the sun's really coming out now, so so the camera's going to have its work cut out for it now. But really glad I got out this morning. Wasn't going to do anything. It's been another really challenging weekend. The weather just in the last even couple of months, it's just been so hard to get out, and because I work during the week, there's a very limited opportunity to get out and coincide with the short periods of fine weather, etc. So it has been really challenging, but glad I came out this morning. And yeah, the conditions actually just really lined up this morning, so hopefully I've got something good there. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, then please do that, and I will catch up with you in the next video. So here's that sequence processed, and for this first sequence I've used the raw frames only. So I've used one of the raw frames, and it was the underexposed frame. So I boosted the shadows and pulled the highlights back. Even so, the highlights are still probably blown out in this sequence. Let me know what you think. And here's the second sequence where I have used the HDR shot from the camera, processed in camera, so that's a JPEG file, and I've also done some editing of the highlights and the shadows to further increase the dynamic range of the image. Let me know which one of these two sequences you like the best in the comments below.